4 reasons why people would take advantage of coaching. The first one is that they are stuck. Corporations get stuck, not-for-profits get stuck, and people get stuck. I was stuck at one point and really needed something that would help me to move forward. My pastor always says that if you're not growing, what are you? Wow, I can't believe Cornerstone, what are you doing when you're not growing? You're dying. Stagnancy is also a form of death. A lot of times we think, I'm in the same place, so I'm good. No, you're not. That's the beginning of death, stagnancy. The second thing is crisis point. People are at a crisis point. So they need change in order to continue with some form of normalcy in their lives. So they need coaching to help move them forward. A third reason would be personal growth and development. I want to be better. That's an accomplishment that every one of us needs to pursue. I want to be better. Same thing with an organization. You have an organization that wants to be better. And finally, curiosity. I've heard about this coaching thing, and I want to know more about it. Executive coaching is no longer a secret. The secret's out now. And I'm going to give you some quotes from some recognizable corporations. Tanya Clemons, the vice president of the Global Executive and Organizational Development at IBM, said, "We have done lots of research over the past 3 years, and we have found that leaders who have the best coaching skills have better business results." John Russell, who is the managing director of Harley-Davidson Europe Limited, said, "I never cease to be amazed at the power of the coaching process to draw out the skills or talent that was previously hidden within an individual, and which invariably finds a way to solve a problem that was previously thought to be unsolvable." There are a lot of areas of coaching that can benefit corporations as well as not-profits, and today I'm going to share 4 of them with you. The first one is coaching reinforces training. I did some research to find out how much do businesses and corporations spend on training a year, and I was amazed. $100 billion, that's billion with a B, in 1 year that corporations spend on training. So it has to be effective, right? What really happens when you go to training? You come back to your office. What happens? We fall right back into our routines and do things exactly the way we've always done them. Why is that? You know, I was thinking about Zig Ziglar when I thought about that. Someone told Zig Ziglar that motivation doesn't last. What was his response? He said, "Neither does bathing. You have to do it over and over and over again. It doesn't last." I've heard people say that knowledge is power. I disagree completely. Knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. Until you actually use it, it does absolutely nothing for you to have knowledge. So what happens when a company trains their employees or a not-for-profit trains their volunteers? Unless you coach them and show them how to apply it, it really does not make much of a difference in their lives. Training relates to teaching knowledge or a skill. Teaching knowledge or a skill. And it's usually delivered over a short period of time, usually in a format of a seminar, orientation, or classroom style. And it relates to obtaining information. That's all it is, information. That means that it's static. When you receive knowledge, you've received something that's static. There's no energy behind it. Until you apply it, then energy is applied to that training that you have received. Sometimes people think training and coaching are interchangeable, but that's absolutely not true. Training relates to obtaining information, but coaching is an ongoing interaction, with the coach not teaching the learner, but rather challenging the learner to improve both their awareness and their approach. I thought about what kind of analogy can I give between training and coaching, and I thought about a college professor and a college basketball coach. The college professor trains, they bring knowledge to their students. And what happens when you do the exam, if you're anything like me, the night before, you cram it all, and then the next day you regurgitate, and you pass, and you're done with it. I'll never see that again. I'll never use that again. How many courses did we take in college, and at the end of the class you think, I will never, ever use that again? Whereas if coaching had been applied to the obtaining of that knowledge, we would find the areas of application of that knowledge. And all of a sudden, we will grow as a result of that impartation. A college basketball coach does not necessarily teach you anything about basketball, because by the time you get to college and you're still playing, you already learned the game of basketball, haven't you? So it's not about knowledge. It's not about the impartation of knowledge. What it is about, though, is about motivating and challenging the team members to bring the best out of them. That is what coaching does. If training is about teaching you the general knowledge of the game, then the coaching is about sharpening you to approach the game in a different way. And in a challenging economy, both approaches are needed. However, what many leaders don't understand is that since training is knowledge or process-based, it is often too generalized to bring a high return. According to research, the long-term retention rate with training alone is less than 20%. However, if that training is accompanied by coaching, the long-term retention rate soars to over 80%. It is easier for one to go ahead and get a contract for a few days of training. However, it's always going to be more efficient for you to apply coaching to training. Bob Nadelli, who is the former CEO of Home Depot, was quoted as saying that I absolutely believe that people, unless they are coached, they never reach their maximum capabilities. That is sellable. Matrix Global LLC did a study, and the executive coaching at Booz Allen Hamilton Returns says that for every dollar that a company spends on coaching, they get a $7.90 return. That's almost 8 times the return just by applying coaching to training. Training promotes monologues. That's one person delivering, whereas coaching creates dialogue, where there's an exchange of ideas. Coaching is continuous and consistent, and it creates an atmosphere of self-discovery, bringing out the absolute best in people. And I summarize the whole thing about training this way. When we train, we give someone a fish. But when we coach, we show them how to feed themselves for a lifetime. Coaching is needed whether you're in the private sector or in the not-for-profit world. The second one I'm going to talk about today is accountability, such as in sales or goal reinforcement. Alastair Robinson, who is the manager of Worldwide Leadership Development, said, employers are shocked at how high their return on investment numbers are for coaching. The International Coaching Federation did a study where there are plenty of statistics that prove the effectiveness of coaching. There are 4 benefits that they identified that their clients had in this survey. The first one is that 80% of clients improved their self-confidence. 80% improved their self-confidence. 73% of clients improved their relationships. 72% of clients improved their communication skills. And finally, 67% of clients improved their work-life balance. 3 years ago, I met a friend and her husband for dinner. Over dinner, he talked about being offered a coaching job for an organization. This organization actually wanted to hire someone to come in and coach their salespeople. And he didn't know if he should take the job or not. My first question was, what does it pay? He told me a round number about what it paid. I said, why would you turn that down? He said, because they've never done that before. I said, do you know whether or not coaching works? He said, yes, coaching works. So you know that when they hire you, they're going to see the return on their money. He said, yes. So what's your hesitation? He took the job. While I was preparing for this, I gave him a call. I said, it's 3 years now. How's that coaching job going? Give me some numbers. He was the first one hired. Now they have a department of 7 people. Okay, I thought that was pretty good. How many people are you coaching? He said, last year, we had 300 people in our coaching program. The sales force for this company is 1,400 people. The numbers came in at the end of the year, and they publicized it. The numbers said everyone who participated in the voluntary coaching in this organization made 26% more on average than those who were not coached. 26%, I wasn't impressed. I said, what does that translate to in dollars? I'm a dollars person. I want the numbers. And it translated to $75,000. That's how much more they made than the people who were not receiving coaching. When those numbers came out in January, they had to hire more people. Why? Because they went from coaching 300 people to coaching 500 people within the organization. I wanted to know, what does that mean to the company's bottom line? Quick calculations show that the company made, in 2017, they brought in an extra $5.6 million in additional revenue to the company. That is after they paid those salespeople. They made an extra $5.6 million. Now, it doesn't take a lot of math to know that they did not spend an extra $1.6 million. And even if they did on that department just made them $4 million for 2017. I did some research on this company, and I came to find out that they are now growing their business share in the country. And at this point, they're on track to be doing 10% of all the business in their industry. A very young company. But because they brought in coaching, that brought accountability to their salespeople, they were able to reap the rewards of it. Number 3, coaching can help re-energize business executives or pastors. Business Wire said that the business demand for coaching is nearly doubling each year. Out of the $80 billion being currently spent on corporate education, the FLI researcher estimates that $2 billion of it is spent on executive coaching at the senior executive levels. The return of investment numbers for coaching are so great that they can no longer be ignored. In one of the books that we use in the curriculum here, Christian Coaching by Gary Collins, he said, and I quote, "The higher business people rise in organizations, the less honest feedback they get. The more isolated they feel, and the less opportunities they have to discuss issues openly with people that can be trusted and who are not trying to get something in return. Often, these leaders need guidance as well in dealing with their families, their insecurities, their self-awareness, and their careers." So I have a riddle for you. There were 5 frogs on a ledge. 4 of them decide to jump off. How many are left? 5. Making a decision is not active. So just because 4 of them made a decision to jump, until they actually jump, they're still on the ledge. Coaching is what helps people make the jump. Coaching is what helps you to make the jump. I want to tell you a story about coaching an executive. It was my shortest coaching session ever was with this gentleman. Someone had introduced him to me. He was a contractor, and he was stuck. He was stuck in a business relationship with a partner, and he wanted to get out. So he came and we met. We talked very briefly. I wanted to understand his business, so I asked him some questions. Why are you still in business with this person if you're telling me that it's not working? Because they had a friendship, and he loves this man, and they were both Christians, but they had completely different ideologies about business and how to run it. And it was a cause of pain in his life. When I asked him the question, "Have you spoken to him about this?" I was shocked. He said, "No." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Because I don't want to lose the relationship." Relationships are more important than money. Did you hear that? Relationships are more important than money. So he wanted to preserve the relationship with his partner. Next question. Does he know that you love him? He said, "Oh yeah, I have no doubt. That's my man. He's got my back no matter what." I said, "But you are harboring these feelings that are negative toward him, and you just told me that he's your man. Why do you have a hesitation in having a discussion with him?" He said, "Because I really didn't realize how important he was until I just spoke to you." And he got up. He said, "I'm going to meet with him now." And I'm thinking, whoa, wait a minute. He said, "I have to do that first before I can move forward." And he left. About an hour later, I got a phone call from him. He had spoken to his partner. And his partner had the exact same feelings about them working together and the exact same feelings about wanting to preserve the relationship. So they were able to come to terms about how they're going to end that business, and they can both go their separate ways. I thought the story was over, but it wasn't. The next time we met, we started talking about him building his business. What are the people you need on your team? What are the things you need to do? Are you financially prepared? And things like that. All of a sudden, another powerful question came up. And he said, "I was so concerned about the business and getting out of it and all that I completely forgot what my purpose is." It turned out that his ladder was leaning on the wrong wall. What does that mean? He was climbing this ladder of success. He didn't even want to be in that industry. His heart was for ministry. So I was able to help him to go get a job, and now he's working on ministry. When people are stuck, the reason they think they're stuck is not always the reason they're stuck. And as a good coach, we're able to equip them and help them to find what their destiny is. You see, when God created each and every one of us, he had a purpose in mind. And the biggest accomplishment that we can have in our life is to accomplish what it is that God had in mind when he created us. A coach can help someone to not only discover that, but also to accomplish that. Dr. Chand said, a dream releaser, that is a coach, helps someone that is stuck between the intersection of where they want to be, and where they want to go. There are two primary functions that you would serve an organization as a coach. One is to be a leadership architect. You hear their dream, you understand their vision and the context, and you provide them with a customized blueprint to release their dreams. The second one is to be a change strategist. All dream releasing entails different levels of all consequences of change. The coach provides you with a detailed, step-by-step change strategy. A dream releaser develops leaders who reproduce more leaders. In the church, we call that making disciples. The purpose is to be able to help people release those dreams that are being held hostage. And number 4, killing apathy. Killing apathy or disengaged employees and volunteers. What is a disengaged employee? Those are the sleepwalkers. We all see them at Walmart. They're standing there. You want something. Do you know where this is? Over there. There's 10 aisles behind them, and they say it's over there. Over where? I could have gone to all 10 myself. I came to you because I wanted you to be specific. They're sleepwalking. Same thing with volunteers and they're not-for-profit. Pew warmers. The biggest critics that have absolutely nothing to bring to the organization. They don't pay their tithes. They don't give any offering. They put nothing into that bowl when it comes by. When the basket comes by, they pass it on to the next person. But they know everything that's wrong with that ministry. What is going on in their lives that create that? When we see people who are disengaged, there's a reason why, and coaches can help them to get better. They can help them to become productive. In the US, the cost of disengaged employees is estimated to be between $450 and $550 billion. 69% of employers say that they've been negatively affected by a bad hire in the last year. Ultimately, a coach can help turn a disengaged employee into an engaged employee, a disengaged volunteer into an engaged volunteer. I highly recommend the book, The Dream Manager by Matthew Kelly. It is the ultimate guide for those who are interested in pursuing this niche of coaching. If you're interested in helping people become energized and productive within your organization, that is the way to go. When you ask employers, why are people disengaged? The first thing they tell you is, oh, it's money. They want me to pay them more. And sometimes the employees, that's the first thing they talk about. I bring more money to this organization than I take out of it. Well, you're supposed to. If I hire someone and bring them into my company and pay them $500 a week, and that person produces $500 a week, why would I want them? They put me exactly where I am. I would not need you in my organization. What if you brought me $750 and I pay you $500, but your office space, the air conditioning cost me $250 a week? I still don't need you. The whole purpose of bringing someone into my organization is for me to be able to produce more than I would ordinarily without you. If that's not the case, you're not needed. You're not valuable. So we can help organizations to bring in people who will bring value to the organization. As I was doing this, I remembered something in Psych 101 that I thought I would never, ever use in my life. And I thought it was so funny I had to put it in here. I thought about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I can't even believe that I remembered the name Maslow. But I think God brings back to our memory the things that we have learned. Even when we think we'll never use them, He'll bring them to you. So I'm really proud of myself that I remembered Maslow. Let's take a look at that. Even though we say money is the reason why people are disengaged, what we actually find is that only 12% of people leave their job to pursue more money. They would actually take a lower paying job in order to feel better about themselves and to have a better life. So what is it that really drives people then? When we look at the bottom of that pyramid, what we find is the psychological needs. Those are the first needs that we need met. Food, water, warmth, rest. Once we meet those things, then we can move on to the next set of needs, which are our safety needs. Security and safety. When we've got that, we can now move on to the next one, which is belonging and love. Having intimate relationships and friendships. It's only after we meet this that we can go on to the esteem needs. Dreams, aspirations. We won't even get to self-actualization because that's something most people will never get to in their lives, and they're really not even seeking that. But a coach can help bring that out in someone so that they do begin to pursue that. When we build trust with people, they have a tendency to stay. Not just within our organizations of companies in the private sector, but also in churches. If you find someone who has no friends within your church, they're not going to stay within your church. Shake a hand and hug a neck during service is not going to do it. We have to go beyond that. And that's why in my church we have life groups. That's where relationships are built. When people can relate to one another, they have a bond that holds them together. Coaches can help in those arenas to help bring people and build them up and to bring what they're lacking in their lives. Coaching can help them not only realize that they have a dream, but also help them to accomplish that dream. Remember that people do not leave jobs. They leave employers. They leave managers. People do not leave churches. They leave members and they leave pastors. So when we think about those relationships and we do the things that it takes to not only heal the hurts, but to help develop people, we're going to see a difference in all of our organizations. In all my years of being in the church, and I grew up in the church, I can assure you that I've never seen more than maybe a handful, and I'm estimating about 5% of the people who leave the church for a good reason, myself included. Somebody hurt my feelings. Somebody didn't understand me. Whatever it is, there's some underlying current that we're not dealing with. But when we're in relationship, in right relationship, we can deal with those things. Same thing with employees. When they're dishonest or when they can't reach what it is that's really broken in them, they look outside of themselves for something to fix what is broken inside. External measures will never heal internal pain. A coach can help bring out that internal pain that's creating the chaos that's around someone, rather than allow them to continue to point fingers at things that are not even essential, but have nothing to do with what's going on. So when we develop ourselves, when we get the education that we need, when we put ourselves in the positions that we need to be, we will find out that we will become a conduit to God's healing in the lives of the people that are around us. That is what happens when coaching is brought into the workplace and also brought into the church. Finally, to put some money to this thing, I looked up on monster.com, careerbuilder.com, and a few other websites to say, are there jobs out there right now that coaches can actually take? And there were several. I found one with Randstad looking for positions all over the country for a life coach to help people who are struggling with smoking. You coach them from your home. And this was a salaried position. I found another job in Jolton that was really exciting to me. It paid $190,000. I thought that was pretty cool. Looking for a life coach for the executives of their corporation. These jobs are out there. But even when they're not, we can create value. I think about the friend that I spoke to earlier this week when I called him about his coaching position that he's been on for 3 years. He loves the company and so he can stay there. But he can easily go to another company and say to them, look what I did over there. I can bring this to you. Do you want the same $5 million return over a 3-year period? He has just created a position for himself, because I don't know many organizations that will turn that down when he has the numbers behind you. So you don't have those numbers. Can you use somebody else's numbers and say, that's what that company did with that person, and I can bring that to your organization? The answer to that is yes. So when we talk about coaching, we're not just talking about personally developing ourselves. We're also talking about the opportunity to develop everyone we touch and every organization that we touch. So go out there and get it done. Let's go ahead and change the world for Jesus Christ. Thank you.